Hello and welcome to the video. This is a quick video on this new RunCam camera. This is the Atom-W. Now the Atom is something that I saw on the website that I thought, you know what, let me get in and give that a try. My favourite camera, nano camera, is this one here, the RunCam Phoenix 2 Nano. I always have a couple of them. In fact, I've just put one on the front of a helicopter. But this new little thing here, this Atom-W, is incredibly small. It's only 16mm wide, so it fits standard nano camera mounts, but it's only 10 by 10mm in the other two dimensions. So while I show you how it comes in the box, let's talk about the specs. This has a 1/3 of an inch CMOS, 800 TVL lines, amazingly, in such a small camera. Field of view is 130 degrees. The signal system is locked to NTSC, sadly, so just NTSC, no PAL. Signal to noise ratio is the same as lots of other RunCam cameras. Electronic shutter speed is automatic. Gain control is automatic. Minimum illumination is 0.01 lux, which is a little bit less than some of the other nano cameras that RunCam do. Power on the website says it's 3.3 to 5.5 volts. On the little package I have here it says it goes higher, but I would believe that it's more like 3.3 to 5.5. The current pull is only about 160 milliamps, and it's ABS housing with little copper nuts in the side for the M1.4 screws that will hold it in place. Weight is amazingly 1.7 grams, including the cables. So let's talk about what this thing actually looks like. I'll record it in the DVR on my goggles, so it will degrade the image slightly, but I will do a comparison to my most expensive favourite nano camera, the Phoenix 2, at the end. So here's the standard test that I tend to do with these cameras. Let's walk down the usual lane. It's a nice bright late spring morning here in Cheshire. Everything is growing like crazy. There's a lot of bright highlights and very deep shadows as well. Considering how small the lens is, it's doing a pretty good job. Now we're getting quite a bit of noise in this outside highly contrasted environment in lots of places, particularly in the shadows. You can see in the shadows as well, the wide dynamic range isn't as wide as some of the cameras. We are losing some of the detail in the very shadowy parts. Good exposure generally. The sky is a little bit blown out. It is kind of prioritizing the rest of the image, which is what you'd want when you're flying around. And also the amount of fisheye on this camera is incredibly small, considering it's such a small camera. The exposure and the responsiveness of the exposure is very, very quick indeed. So going from light to dark environments, I don't think will be a problem. Colours are oversaturated. That tends to be the default settings on most RunCam cameras. It's kind of a hyper-real feeling, and also the image is a little bit over-sharpened for my taste, and we'll see that in a minute when we pan right and we look down the canal, particularly if you look around the edges of the tree against the sky, that very dark area of the tree to the very bright sky. You kind of have this white halo around it, so a little bit too over sharpened. The only issue with this, of course, is that with this little camera is there is no ability to change any of those settings. How it comes is how you've got to use it. Indoors, the settings seem a lot more natural. The colour and saturation is still a little bit high, but it feels a lot better than when you use the camera outdoors, particularly in bright environments like I'm testing it on today. So let me just put side by side the Phoenix 2 Nano. Now this is a camera that costs another $12 and is significantly heavier. It has an awful lot more lines, and it also has a much bigger lens as well. There's probably more fisheye on the Phoenix Nano 2, but hopefully you can see here why the Phoenix Nano 2 is my go-to when I have a nano mount, and I don't mind the fact that the camera is relatively deep because of the glass lens that's on front of the Nano. But in terms of the color, slightly oversaturated in the Phoenix 2 Nano. This is the default settings for both cameras. The Phoenix 2 Nano is set to PAL, so we get a little bit more resolution vertically. But hopefully you can see here the difference between the two, between this incredibly small Atom-W and the Phoenix 2 Nano, which is my go-to when I need a nano camera. So in summary, what do I think? Well, I like that we've got a new form factor for these tiny spaces. Sometimes I do want a camera that's a little bit more compact for the really small builds. The performance of the tiny lens is better than I expected, and it's perfect for indoor whoops and toothpicks where you want to keep weight down to a minimum and you have a really tight space. Works fine outdoors, but you have to put up with the lower TV lines and also the noise that you get in the image when compared to some of the larger cameras with larger lenses. So when you've got almost no space for a camera and want something that will fit, then this new Atom-W might be the answer. Thank you for spending your time today watching that video. You can find me in all the usual places on social media, and if you're trying to learn about a subject, then check out the playlist. All of my videos are organized into easy to follow playlists that if you're trying to learn a topic will take you from the basics right the way through to some pretty advanced stuff.